good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Greetings to everyone out there. Mark Miller here with the CodeRushed stream. Rory is not with us today, or at least right now, due to time differences. He is he's not available for about another hour. And so we think he might join us in an hour, but I'm also thinking the show might be short today. Today's show, I'm calling the sleep deprivation show. And hold on just one second. Karen? Karen? Yeah? Can you isolate the sound, whatever it is? I'm hearing it. Come in and it's distracting me a little bit. Thanks. Okay, so I'm just getting something in my ear, and I want to make sure I'm able to focus and concentrate. Calling it the sleep deprivation show because, conveniently enough, I am sleep deprived in this moment. I got in on a plane late and spent a lot of the night talking and dealing with family issues, and as a result, I am in a really great experimental state to see how well the code is written. It's actually appropriate that Rory's not with us right now in this moment as well, because nobody to save me immediately as I make a mistake, nobody to point those things out. So I'm going to talk a little bit about coding while sleep deprived. It's something in general I stay far away from it, but in some conditions you need to do that, and this is kind of what I think is. We're going to look at that and see how well these practices work. Number one, well, let's actually, before I get into the list of items, let's go in and take a look at kind of where we are and what we've done so far. So just kind of bring anybody who's new up to speed, and let's do that. All right, so we've got the overlay that's loading up right now, and we're building this kind of gaming overlay. You'll see a crosshairs right in about the middle of the screen above my head, right up there. You'll see in the upper left corner of the screen, you can see the CodeRushed logo right up over here. And then there's some coins that have appeared over to the right over here, right in this area. You see those. I'm just noticing it's taking, there we go. It took a long time for the overlay to load. I'm not sure why, but there it's finally loaded up. There are a lot of resources that it has to load off of disk, and so that may be related to the delay. So now that this is up, we can do things like we can send out a launch command in the chat room like that, and that launches up the rocket. We can give it commands to move in a particular direction. For example, I can say write for 3 seconds like that. Well, Bennett says, I could see the light. Thought you were never, ever going to get to the end of the tunnel. We get there, right? And this show may be like that, right? Never get to the end of the tunnel. And we can do things. We can type in a seed command like that, and it'll drop a seed, and it'll plant some flowers right over there. And we can also launch drones, which is also kind of fun. We're putting together the game elements. And so everybody gets a drone. And to control your drone, you just use left, right, up, and down the first letters of each of those commands. L, U, L for left, U for up, D for down, that sort of thing. And so I can follow it with a number. So L3 makes me move to the left for 3, like that. And we can also drop meteors by typing in the drop command like that. Boom. And we can catch meteors on our drone. If our drone's right underneath the dropping meteor, it'll catch it, and then we can throw it. So that's kind of what we've built so far. You'll notice the planet to my right is planet Earth. I can change that by typing in the planet command and passing in another planet name like this. There, I've switched it to planet Mars. And now if we drop, you'll see slightly different gravity, Mars's gravity, and so it goes a little bit slower, like that. And that's it. Or at least that's a quick summary of kind of what we've done. Now, where do we want to go? Oh, we've also been working with walls. We've been building walls. Let's do this. Let's do a test for the walls. And we have the ability to kind of throw these balls up, and then they open up, and they create these walls. And the walls, I want to be able to, like if I've got my drone right here, and I said, let's move it right by about 1 second, and then down by one as well. If I'm moving up, like this for 3 seconds. Watch my drone, the CodeRushed drone, right there, right up there. As I type in the command to move it up, when it hits that wall, boom, I want it to bounce and I want it sparks. But I want that to work from either direction. So if I'm above it moving down, I want it to bounce back up. And if I'm below it moving up, I want it to bounce back down. That's what I intended to write today. However, it's new architecture. It's something that I've not given a huge amount of thought to. And as a result, because I'm in the sleep-deprived state, I'm a little nervous. So one of my number one tips when you're in a sleep-deprived state and you're writing code is only make really safe changes. So instead of embarking on a new architectural design, like this one right here, a new architectural structural set of code, what I want to do instead is I want to say, let's maybe do some simple refactoring. Let's make work on user interface, make things easier to use. So let's do that instead. That's what I want to do. So to do that, I am going to, I'm going to execute that. By the way, I am going to get back and I'm actually going to try and attempt to write this new code that I'm telling you right now to avoid. So we're going to get there and we're going to see how well I do on that. In general, if you're new to the show, in general, my track record is I generally figure everything out by the end of the show. And another way of looking at it is I don't stop the show until everything's figured out. For those folks just joining us, it looks like maybe we got rated over here. I just want to let everybody know it's the Sleep Deprived show. I'm sleep deprived genuinely, and we're going to work on writing some code here to modify this overlay bot that you see here that's drawing on top of the live stream and allowing us to control drones or to control the rocket. I'm going to go ahead and dock this now. So that's going to dock it and clean up the screen a little bit. You guys can launch if you want to, that's not a problem. But let's talk about refactoring. So one of the things that I noticed whenever I change a planet, so this is like, this is kind of a user interface right here. Even though this is in the chat room, it's still part of the user interface. So to change the planet, you notice I had to type, you probably noticed I typed in planet Mars in the chat room. And so I typed in the word planet as the command and the parameter was Mars. DevLead is now following. Thanks, DevLead, for the follow. We appreciate that. What I want to do instead is I want to just be able to type in Mars because the planet names are unique and they don't conflict with any other commands. So I'm going to make that change. Instead of saying planet and then passing in the args, I'll still allow that for backwards compatibility with anyone who's familiar with that command, but I'm going to add new commands for each of the actual planets. So that's what I'm going to do because that's a safe change that I can make. So let's do that. I'm going to do this, by the way, I need to, hold on a second. I need to kill Chrome, which I'm going to do, and so that I can rebuild. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to, it looks like that stopped the debugging process over here. When I do this, we temporarily lose the chat bot, Mr. Announcer bot, which allows you to get my attention, but I'm going to try and focus over on the chat room as well to make sure I don't miss anything on that. I have the planets right here. These are the different images that are out there. If I hover over it, you can see there's planet Earth, there's Jupiter. So I've got the planet names right there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in here, kind of copy this, and I'm going to say, if you type in bang Earth as your command, bang is the exclamation mark. If you type that in, I am going to just pass in the word Earth here, like this, like that. And I think that's going to work. Whoops, I forgot I'm in C#, so C# needs a double quote. By the way, I really like the single quote. So we're talking about user interface, right? And I said the chat room is a user interface. It's user interface. What we want to do, DevLead says, should CodeGen that T4 for the win. Really? These right here, I've got 9 planets. I feel like I could finish them faster than CodeGenning. But maybe we're talking about something else. But maybe that's also just meant to be funny because I see the winky smiley face there too as well. The user interface. So we're trying to make it so it's easier in the chat room so you don't have to type in so many keys. Already typing in the exclamation mark is painful. You have to hold down the shift key, reach up, grab the exclamation mark, and then release the shift key, release the exclamation mark, right? Like that. And it's a lot of complexity. It's far away from where the home keys are. So already we've got that. Now, if we ask you to do spaces and commas and other things like that in the command, it's a greater burden. So we're trying to reduce the burden of the user. So that's one of the things. And then related to what I was talking about right here with regards to, I went with the single quotes because that works in JavaScript and TypeScript. The single quotes I love because there's no shift key required. Right? It's actually brilliant about JavaScript because strings are used all the time in your code. And why are we making it so hard on developers? Right? Why do developers, why are we creating languages without thought to how hard it is to type those things that we do all the time? Another example is that I can't get away from is the curly brace, which is used all over the place. It's a tiny key. It's not big and fat like the tab key or the enter key. And you need the shift key to get your braces, and you need braces all over the place. In fact, it's so crazy, I created a template called B, so I just hit the letter B in the space bar, and it gives me those braces automatically, and that's my world that I live in. Right? So that's just a CodeRushed template. All right, so we've got Earth in here. Let's keep going here. Let's get Jupiter now. And check it out. This is a feature in CodeRushed called Smart Duplicate Line. And all I'm doing is I'm just hitting Shift-Enter on the line. It's seeing what I'm changing, and it's linked them up, the pieces that are the same. And so now I can just type in once on each line. It's a very fast way to get through here. So there's that. Mercury, the moon is next. Neptune is after that. And Pluto. I see something in the chat room. I'll take a look at it in a second. Saturn, like that, Sun, Uranus, and Venus, like that. All right, so there we've created all of those, and those are going to call change planet, passing in that arg to it, and I think we're going to be good in there. And then that executes the command change planet. That's over here in main. Let's go take a look at that. Change planet. Oh wait, no, it's an execute command. Sorry, that's my first sleep deprived mistake. Assuming it was in one place, but it's not in the other. There's where we want to go. Execute command. So one of the other things I do while I'm coding, and I totally see the chat room. I'm going to get to it in a second. Is in addition to writing the code and maintaining the architecture in my head, I'm also checking in with how many mistakes I'm making, right? How alert and focused am I? And I'm monitoring this all the time. And when you're sleep deprived, you really, really, really need to do this. If you can't do this while you're coding, then my argument is you shouldn't be coding at all, right? So the first guideline is don't code when you're sleep deprived, and the second one is if you can't monitor your mind while you're going, if you notice you're not able to do that, just step away because the cost of mistakes is so high. All right, chat room. Why not type the switch input and just case then? Why not type the switch input on devlead? I think I know what you're talking about. That was to each of the individual case statements, I think. I don't have a good answer for that. I got it working and I'm done, I think, is my answer, which is not a polite answer. I acknowledge, see the aforementioned description of the stream for an explanation on why I might not sound so polite today. Will Bennett should probably create a chat command class and just call a handle method. This switch would reduce the to a loop, and the class can handle alternates and aliases. Yeah, I think Will Bennett, by the way, often gives suggestions in this show where I'm like, they're like little seeds of ideas. And within, seconds to hours afterwards, I'm like, yeah, that's a really good idea. The pressure, what Will is sensing is there's pressure here, right? If we go back over to the background worker, we've got pressure kind of in the form of all of this code here, which is just kind of this, right? Which is a lot of it's very similar. And we've got pressure in this giant switch statement right here. And we can relieve that pressure if I'm understanding you correctly. If I'm understanding the suggestion correctly, the suggestion is to relieve that pressure by creating another class that just simply says, hey, I'll be in charge of color. This is what I'll be able to handle. Another one in charge of planets. This is what I'll be able to handle. So we get things organized and it can handle aliases, that sort of thing. I think that's Will's suggestion and I think he's right. When we do a major refactoring change, we'll go in that direction. Will says I code in my sleep is right, and that's nice that he can sleep and code at the same time. I should be asleep right now. Geniscu7 says I have code new stuff when I have been awake 55 hours straight with success. Excellent. Well, it also, I think, depends on your mind, right? How young your mind is. I have heard from a number of people, including my wife, that that when she was younger, she was able to just do all-nighters and still be mentally alert. I never, ever did that. I always would be the guy, saying, I'm sleeping before the test tomorrow, whereas everybody else was staying up all night studying, and I could finish the test. I would get higher scores typically and get out faster. I would finish the test faster. And for me, that worked, right? For me, having a rested mind gave me a higher level of alertness. Also connected to this, while I'm going stream of consciousness, is studies were done on the number of mistakes made by sleep-deprived drivers and compared it to intoxicated drivers, and the number of mistakes were about the same. Driving when you're sleep deprived is not against the law in most countries that I know of, but it's potentially damaging. So, or dangerous. Let's see. Like you do with the colors dev lead is talking about. And so I think that's we're referring to this piece right up here, I think, is what I think. I think. Oh, no. I get it. I see. This is brilliant, actually. Oh, I like this. This is a brilliant idea. My apologies for not seeing this sooner. Really, really, really fun and good idea. Okay. Yeah, that's totally the way we should do that. It's brilliant. That's the good idea right there. And what's this called? This is called command text. Brilliant, dev lead. That's a huge thank you. That's a great suggestion, and that's very clever. And wish I had thought of that. Yeah, dev lead for the win.
Awesome.
All right, awesome. All right, so let's get started. That's our refactoring. Let's go ahead and get started so we get our the chat bot back in. Will Bennett, we do not have the, I know where you're going with that. He's awesome. Where do I have that? I'm looking over here. Oh, I think it is there.
He's awesome.
That's what Will was trying to bring up. Normally Will's got control and you've got control of what's said during the stream. You can go out to our, here, let's bring up that. You can go out to our GitHub to learn more about what the things you can say. Once we load the chatbot back in, give me a second on that. Let me bring this up here just so that I can get you what I'm talking about here. Mr. Announcer Bot. Here. Mr. Announcer Bot, the README talks about the different levels and the things, the different levels that you have as a viewer and the different things you can say at those levels. Mr. Announcer Bot is in. Let me refresh the main screen here by switching to a piece that doesn't have the overlay. We'll bring the overlay back in. Now that Mr. Announcer Bot's back in, if Will Bennett were to type in something like here, I'll just type in fixed like that.
Fixed.
Right, it controls it from the chat room. There you go. And that all worked. Okay, so let's go get the code back up. Let's test out what we've made the changes to. To see the planet, we have to launch, so we're going to launch first. We're on Earth. Let's try typing in just sun. Ah, nice. And Mars, right? Good. So it's much faster now to change a planet. If you want to change a planet, we're lowering the barrier. Did I get that wrong? Yeah, I spelled that wrong. Pluto, like that. Yeah, so we're lowering the barrier to entry to playing around with this is what we're doing. And it's just occurring to me, I think I want to put the chat part of the overlay above the overlay bot like that. So we see, there you go. You can see the text showing up over the word Jupiter there. You can see it. That's much better. I need to do that too. I've just done that to the He's Awesome page, but I've got about 200 others I need to make that change to. But let's go do it to the main one. We'll switch back to the main and do that same thing. So that chat overlay is up on top. So that means anything we type inside of here. So if I type in Mercury, for example, there you can see the words Mercury appearing right over there. Okay, right there. Okay, excellent. I think we can dock. So tip number one is make changes that are small, right? There's another small change we need to make, which is that little crosshairs right up there in the center of the overlay. We use that for testing and just to line up the walls to make sure everything was right. We don't need that anymore. That's another small change that I can make very quickly. So let's go ahead and do that. That's over here in main, and it's in a function called update screen, I think. There it is right there. And update screen, and down near the end, I think I've got to draw crosshairs. I can just simply comment that out right now. Okay, so we're no longer drawing crosshairs the next time we refresh. So those are my simple changes. I think it's time next to go in and oh, the other thing I guess I would recommend is pair programming, right? If you're sleep deprived, doing it in pairs is going to be a huge benefit. In fact, I would argue that the beneficial difference between one programmer and two in alert state is not as great as in sleep deprived state. In sleep deprived state, I feel like more items that are important are lost, right? They go away, and more mistakes are made, right? And when you're writing new code, important code, that can be a problem. The other piece is test cases, right? Creating test cases incrementally for each piece as you go. With all of that said, let's go in and let's go figure out how we're going to make the walls code work. So I have, it's kind of close to this bounce function, kind of. So bounce goes like this. Everything that moves has got a call to bounce inside the update screen function. So we call bounce before we do any drawing on all of these items. And so we call bounce on the seeds, on bumblebees if they're floating around, on the meteors. So the meteors can bounce off the walls, but they explode when they hit the ground, that sort of thing. And so we're calling that. We also have checking meteors, checking collision against the drones, which is kind of a very cool function. So the code reads all meteors dot check collision against all drones. And it takes a function, and our function we're passing in is put meteor on drone. So if there's a collision between a meteor and a drone, the drone catches the meteor. That's what's going on. So we have the ability to basically grab and all meteors is a sprite collection right here, which is just a collection of sprites. And it can also have child sprite collections in it, which we haven't used yet. I built this because we were about to use it, and then I immediately lost the need right after I finished building it. So we haven't gone any further on that. So we have one potential here way to kind of quickly get in and solve this, where we can come in and we can say all drones dot check collision against all walls. We could do that. The problem is that just checks for a collision. It doesn't actually see which direction, which side of the wall you're on, right? And depending on gravity, like if you're on the sun, which is like a huge, something like 23 times the gravity of Earth, I think, something like that. It's 273 Gs, I think, on the Earth. On the sun, I mean, it's, I think that's right. And so if you're doing that and you're going incredibly fast, our update might be such that we pass through the wall and we ask, where are you? And well, you're on the other side of the wall, right? So we could do that, but we'd have to also see what's our velocity, what's our direction, that sort of thing. And I'm not sure if this is going to work. Like I say, I haven't given this enough thought. If we drill into this, check collision against, and just kind of look at that, we're basically going into we're drilling into another check collision against on another structure. And we're ultimately calling is hit. Is our test sprite hit by the other sprite? And so we're calling is hit by. And this is a function, because we're using TypeScript, we can override this and have a custom descendant to make that check, to say, are you hit by it? So we could do this. But I think instead I'm not going to. Even though it's elegant code, I think I'm not going to do it. Instead, what I think I want to do is create a special kind of I want to start at the wall. And I want to look at that and get the wall to be able to tell if a drone is hitting it. And let's start there and build our way out. At least that's kind of what I want to do. So let's go back into main. Now in main, we create some walls down by the end of this. And we are, let's see. Here's the wall command right here. And so we're going to call horizontal solid wall, and then we're going to add this wall is what we're doing. Let's just go into the declaration of that. That's a sprites class right there. That's the class we wrote, sprites. And it just occurred to me that for folks who might be new out here, that if you go out to here, you can see our code. I'll put this in the chat room. And if you go to episode 46 begin, you can get the starting code for this. That contains everything but some licensed, except for some licensed images that I don't have licenses to put out in open source. So we're collecting these in the sprites collection. So those sprites know, they know where all the walls are. And I think that what I want to do here is I want to create a descendant of sprites, is what I think I want to do. And I want to create a descendant that's, I think I want to create almost 2 descendants of it. So let's go over here into sprites, and let's kind of work on that. So we've got our class sprites here. Let's create a new class. Call it, I can't call it wall sprites, like that. And it's going to extend sprites, like this. And already I'm thinking, oh, is this the right choice? And am I going to be able to do this, right? So that it's that sleep deprivation state right there that's definitely leading me to do this. So I'm going to just copy in the constructor pieces from above. I'm going to take out the private pieces. And what's wrong here? Do I have a problem with... Oh, that's probably my problem right there. Now what's wrong here? Types have separate declarations of a private property hit floor func. Tell me about that. That's in, I wonder if something happened in my paste. Hit floor function. I just got the word private. Right there. Okay, is that going to solve it? No. Must contain a super call. Okay. Let's go take a look at the chat room because I heard something crash over there. And sometimes people like to get, I think it's because you have a private arg and no super call yet. Yeah, you're right about the super call. Absolutely right. Thanks. And then we want to pass in all of this stuff here. So let's grab that. This is a feature I want in CodeRushed, a smart paste right here. When I paste in a parameter declaration to what looks like it's a call, to get rid of all of the other pieces in it. Also, I want a way to extend faster. Okay, now that's happier. All right, so there's my wall sprites, and that extends it. And I want to give it a function. I think I want to give it a function called bounce. Is what I want to, or is it bounce off the wall? I think I'm going to call it bounce. And I think it's going to take a drone that's going to come in. Oh, wait, but it could also take a meteor. And the meteor is going to, so I guess I'm going to go to the ancestor class of both of these, which is a sprite proxy, like that. And we'll just call this the sprite, like that. And it's of type sprite proxy. And so it's going to bounce the sprite is what it's going to do, I think. And I think it's going to, it needs to tell one of the things I want to do is when the drone hits the wall, I want the drone to spark up and bounce back. But if it keeps hitting it, I want it to blow up. That's kind of what I'm going for there. So I want to, I want to tell the drone that you're taking damage. And I'm not sure how to do that yet. I think I'm going to put that in as a to-do. All right, so I'm coding sleep deprived. I've made this change. And so one of the other things I want to do is I want to come in and I want to be like, okay, am I still safe? Am I doing anything risky yet? And so far, we're good because I haven't actually used wall sprites yet. Let's put that to do in there. I'm curious about this. What is this? Bounce is not assignable to the same property in base. Property bounce. Wait, do I have I have something called bounce already in here in sprites? Is that right? Maybe I do. Is that my collision? Let's see. There is my collision. Okay, so that's happening already. So I can't do bounce. So I'm going to say I could call it wall bounce for now and change it later if I want to. All right. So to do transmit damage to drones, blow up meteors unless it's a pass-through wall. So this to-do comment is incredibly valuable to me right now. Hold on a second. Will Bennett is saying, FYI, in TS you can specify type as type 1 or type 2. No way! Oh my God, in order to allow multiple types. Holy cow. That is super awesome. Let's do that. So Will's saying we can say drone or meteor. That's awesome. Next time I see Anders Heilsberg, I'm going to be like, dude, awesome stuff. Okay. So I like that. And then we can do some checking to see what's going on there. So I think that the thing we have to do is we have to figure out what its velocity is at the time we're doing this check. So and I don't think we have something that just flat out calculates our velocity. But I do have, whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. I do have a change of velocity, right, like that. And if I drill into that, it looks like I've got it in two places here. Where I don't see the two places, but all right, we'll just jump in there. That's not what I wanted. Changing direction, that's what I want. Changing direction basically determines what our current velocity is based on everything we know about the object thrown. So I want to call changing direction is what I want to do. So we'll do that, and that'll get us valid velocities when we do that. We have to pass in a now to it. So in my wall bounce, I'm going to add a new parameter of type number called now, like that. And we'll call changing direction, passing in now. Okay. Okay. Not sure if it's best in this case, though. I agree with you. I'm not sure, but it's certainly not obviously wrong. I'll put it that way. It's not obviously wrong. Okay, so that's going to get our that piece of it. Now, the other thing though is our wall sprites. Let's do one other thing. Let's change so we're doing this a step at a time, right? We've added a class, we're not using it yet. Let's use it. Nothing should change if we simply use it, right? Because we've just added a function that we're not calling from anywhere yet. So I'm going to go back over into main, and I'm going to look at the horizontal solid wall and vertical wall declarations, and I'm going to change that to say we're using wall sprites instead. And I'm going to use tab to next reference to go find those. Load wall. And we're going to say that's going to return back wall sprites. And then now here, we've got a problem though, is in our constructor because we're not doing the right one. We could do this. Ultimately, this is not what we need because we need a horizontal or vertical, I think. I was going to create two other descendant classes, but now I'm like, no, we're going to put it all, because of this code here, we'll put all the code, both horizontal and vertical checking, inside of wall sprites is what we're going to do. So load wall, and And I think I've got something out here called orientation. And I think I have an enum is what I'm saying. And I have an orientation.horizontal. Let's change this. Now I'm getting into risky code. I'm aware of it, right? I can tell my heart rate is increased as I'm doing this. And this is going to be orientation.vertical. Now, if I get this right, I'll be able to turn these into strings, or they'll turn into strings automatically when they're used down below. And it'll just say vertical, I think, and we'll still be able to load up the walls. So let's do that. Let's change our declaration here to orientation to become this. Let's say it's orientation.toString just to be safe. And then I want to say wall dot orientation equals orientation, like that. I want to give it a property. And then I'm going to declare it by hitting Control dot, declare property in there. And that I did it. Okay, so excellent. That I think is going to work. Now what I want to do is I want to stop everything before I get to any other level of complexity and simply test. This function's never going to be called yet, but I just want to make sure the wall sprites up, that our orientation, and that we can see the walls that's still being loaded. That plus sign right, the crosshairs right above me, that's going to go away on the refresh. So let's refresh now and do a test. So do this. And we'll get that to load back up. And it's loaded. All right, so let's go do test wall. And it's not working. So I think the problem is in, it's in here, orientation to string. I'm not, I can debug it and step through it, but I think I'm going to do this instead. I'm going to do orientation stir, like that, and I'm going to say if orientation equals orientation dot horizontal, then orientation equals, it could be a case, that because I think it's lowercase. Let's check the path to the assets here. Let's take that out of the way, close that down. Here are my assets. There's the firewall. Nope, it's uppercase is what it is. So it is going to be an uppercase horizontal, like that. So I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's coming back with the full string. Maybe it's that is what's coming back. Orientation stir is what I want this to be. Like that is that. And then else orientation stir is equal to vertical, like that. And I think that might fix it. Why do I, yeah, there we go. Okay. Let's refresh it. Are we in yet? Here we come. It's loading up. Typing in test wall. And here we go. Well, still not working. Still not working. Oh, I know why. Sleep deprivation. Can you say it? Right? This is a small thing. It was part of one of the changes that was needed. The change that was needed. I even have a visual clue right here in the grayed out orientation stir. Never referenced, right? There was my clue. I missed both. Okay? So there's the fix. Let's go back and reload. Yeah, by the way, normally when I do this show, this minute I get a sense that I'm losing focus, I'm like, let's get out, right? What I like to do is hold a lot of things in my head at once. I like to keep that complexity going and get through and seal it up, get that code working so it's good, and then I don't have to think about it anymore. And that's usually what I feel like I do on the show. Today, however, I'm sleep deprived, so going through and trying to code during that, to kind of look at the impact on my coding, All right, here comes the test wall. There we go. And that's working. That's what I expected the first time, made a few mistakes. It's really good that we fixed this now and we stopped and checked, right? So having smaller edit test cycles, edit test refresh cycles is also another strategy when you're sleep deprived, right? Knowing that you can be making mistakes at any moment and going out and checking that. Will Bennett says you should be able to change orientation stir to a 2-string call. Yeah, but I don't need that because it's a string already. I don't think I understand, Will, what you're saying. I think you're suggesting here adding 2-string to the end of it is what I think you're talking about. No, we're good. I feel like we're good. Either that or maybe your stream is delayed. Ahead of the if. This right here. Wait, should be able to orient. Oh, I see. You're talking about calling orientation.toString here? Yeah, well, that wasn't working here. I don't think it was in the interpolation. You think it was in the interpolation? Yeah, I think it is not in the interpolation. Yeah, I think you're going to get the same bug. If you want to try it, let's try it. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, I think it's going to be if it's not, I'm going to be blown away. The thing I'm not doing is I'm not stepping through the code. I'm not bringing this up and looking at it because there's a cost to doing that. It costs more time to step through the code because this code is live in the stream and I have to disrupt things and restart. It's about a 30-second penalty. So I opted not to step through the code and instead solve it this way. Hold on. Instead of the if, just orientation sure is equal to, yeah, I got that. Maybe I'm wrong. I've run into issues with that though. All right, well, it's worth exploring, I think. Let's go ahead and try it. Normally, the other strategy I would use is, hey, if it's working and the code is not really bad, not horrible, then be like okay with it. And if it's kind of bad, make a note that it's kind of bad, but walk away. I found also sometimes if I fight, it takes me a lot longer to fix it. That sort of thing. So let's give this one more try. Let's say this is equal to orientation dot. The problem is if Will is right, we're going to now have to explore further. And we're going to have to take that penalty, that 30-second penalty to go in and debug it. So now I'm doing this and see if that works. We'll see. Oh, maybe the 2-string adds quotes to the ends? No, that doesn't make sense. Would it do that? That doesn't make sense. This should be this should fail. According to me, I think this is going to fail. We'll see what happens. Reloading. All right, it's coming up. Let's get ready to type in. Oh, well, then it says Xeno. It's probably translating to 0 or 1. Okay, maybe that's what's going on. So we'll say type in test wall and nothing. Okay, so yeah, that may be what's happening there as well. So we're going to fix that, restore it like that, restart the overlay. All right. Sorry says, well, I think we've got a sorry you can play. Do you have access to that?
Sorry-ish.
Also, there's this one.
Oops. Oopsie doodle.
All right, so let's get back to where we were. The other thing I've noticed when I'm sleep deprived is getting back to where I was takes longer, right? I come back in, I'm looking at like right now I went to wall, but I really should be in sprites to look at wall sprites right there. I'm now thinking I'm going to move wall sprites over to wall. I think I like it better over there, even though it descends from sprites. Yeah, okay, I'm going to keep it back. Okay, so we've got a wall bounce right now. So we're going to call sprite changing direction. Then we're going to say if orientation equals orientation dot horizontal, then we're going to call horizontal wall bounce. Just copy some of this so I don't have to type so much. Horizontal wall bounce like that. And then we'll create also vertical wall bounce. Like that. And good, good, good. Like that. Else. Vertical wall bounce. Okay. Wall bounce feels done. I'm not sure if this to-do needs to move or not yet, but I feel like this decision is going lower, needs to go lower. We're going to probably have to inject it from the top and bring it down. Okay, let's work on, I guess, a vertical wall bounce first, I guess. We'll pick one of these and see what they have in common. The wall itself, the sprite now, the thing that's added, the thing that we have, I'm sorry, the things that we have in sprite. So there's this dot sprites, I think, is what we have, right? And those are all of the walls, right? Is what these are. Okay, and the wall has, I think, a center. Do we have a center on the wall? How are the X and Y used here? How do we know the coordinates of the wall? It's in final cap left and final is that right? This is the final cap left position and top position. I'm not sure that's it. I'm not getting a click on that as I'm looking at it. So is X used anywhere else? X is not used anywhere else. The wall's got an orientation. Do I change that anywhere else? I do not. So I've got end cap 1s and 2s in the wall. So these are left and these are positions here. Final cap. Yeah, okay. So the final here is where we've positioned it. This is essentially the center of the wall, is where those are. The actual but it's between cap 1, end cap 1 and end cap 2, wherever they are, because later what happens is those expand and they eventually reach let's see here. End cap 1x is equal to this minus y half cap length. Wait. Look at this code. Yeah, horizontal is here. Half actual length. Okay, so it looks like these, okay, sorry that took so long, but it looks like this is going to be the left position if it's horizontal, and this is going to be the right position if it's horizontal. So that's the span that we're talking about here. So let's just kind of grab these for a second, come back over into here in wall sprites. And I think we need like a for each inside of this here. And for each sprite, and already my brain is like, time to stop coding. Let's see if we can push through it here. All right, so let's just put these down here as notes. This is going to be sprite, whatever that is, sprite x minus that is going to be our left and our right. Right, just do this a step at a time. Try to get through it without making mistakes. Our right is equal to sprite x plus sprite half actual length. So that's going to give us our left to right span, and then we can just check to see, hey, are you in that range, drone? Are you somewhere in that range, drone or meteor? And if you are, then let's keep going. And inside the for each, we need to have something that we're doing in here. And I'm totally forgetting the syntax of for each. So let's go find an example code somewhere else and grab that. selection increase work there? It does. All right, so let's grab that. Wait, actually, let's grab the inner one so I'm not copying so much code. Just like that. Okay. And paste that in. That's going to take a sprite proxy right there. But we're going to call this I think I'll call this the wall sprite, which means this code changes to this. And now this code can actually come inside here and say make that be a number, and do the same thing down here. And make that be a number. Okay, and this is going to be a wall. So I think this is going to work. Right, I've got a for each on sprites. Sprites is declared as sprite proxy, an array of sprite proxy. Wall, I'm wondering, am I going to have a problem here, or is this going to be able to typecast automatically because I'm actually adding walls, which I believe is happening right over, right down here. Push a new wall, right? That's what I'm adding in that list. And wall, as I said, extends sprite proxy. There it is right there. So there's proof. So I think this is going to work. It's going to be able to typecast well. And so now I'm going through all of those and I'm checking to see. Now I want to see if, and this is where like I'm smiling because I'm like, okay, how do I figure out if it's in this range? So sprite's got what, an X and a Y, I think. So sprite.x is, and just, I'm going to start off simple for right now, and we'll fine tune it later with some smarter calculations. But I'm going to say if sprite.x is greater than left and sprite.y, I'm sorry, sprite.x is less than the right side, right? Then we're going to say we got a hit. And now I think I want to say, let's do this. Let's just do a visual test if we got that hit. I think I've got to destroy by and give it a number of milliseconds. Let's give it like 200 milliseconds. And so it's got to destroy itself within 200 milliseconds. So if it were anywhere in the range, it should go. And now we just have to call wall bounce. Create a vertical wall. Wait, whoops. This is in the horizontal. Hold on. This code is for horizontal. Okay. So we need to create a horizontal wall and fly the drone anywhere underneath it or above it, and it should blow up if this code so far is working. And that's kind of what we're looking for. So we now need to call wall bounce. Well, then it's asking, are you sure? Yeah, that is a great question here. Let's, so we need to call wall bounce. We need to do that from our update screen function, which is right here. And I'm going to say, do I have an all walls? I do. Do I have a wall bounce? I don't have that yet. So we're going to work our way out of that. So wall bounce, do I want to do that? Add it to a sprite collection? Because it's kind of a specific thing. And a sprite collection is not a specific thing. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say wall sprites. Let's go. I think what I have to do is I'm going to just call wall bounce here, and I'm going to make that declare that as a function. And we're going to pass in now to that. And let's go find our walls here. Okay, that's what I'm going to do it. I'm going to put it nearby the walls here is what I'm going to do. So let's do that function. Wall bounce now, which is going to be a number. That's going to return a void. And I want to basically come in because I've got 4 walls here. Whoops, let's make these wall sprites too. Another mistake. Load wall is going to be okay with that. All right. I think you need to check Y as well. Yeah, no, definitely. Yes, Will. We're going to totally, I'm taking this one step at a time, right? I want to make sure just this code works. And then I'm going to come back, check the Y, and then check the velocity, check to see if we're crossing the wall or not. Right now, I just want to see if we can blow up a drone flying underneath the wall or above the wall, a horizontal wall. That's what I want to try to do. So I want to come up to here, and I want to say, come in here, and I want to say this dot wall bounce, and pass in now. I think we're okay. Does this have a wall bounce? I think it does not have a wall bounce is what I'm saying. Let's see. Does it? Oh, wait, it's this. Okay. Okay. So here's my for each here. Hold on, let's go back. What's my problem here? It's 2 arguments. It's once the drone. So I have to do the for each of the drones right here is what I have to do. So I want to say all drones. Dot for each. And we're going to say drones, drone list, something like the drones like that. And that's going to be of type sprites, I think. And then we're going to say drones. We need a for each on that. And that's going to be each drone like that. And then we're going to come down in here and we're going to call for each of the walls that we've got out there, the wall types, we're going to go call its individual wall bounce function passing in the drone. Like that. And now. Like that. Okay. What's wrong with my for each here? Rory Becker.
Hello.
How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing very well.
Well, I got bad news for you.
Okay.
My bad news is that Skype, which doesn't always work well on my machine, only detects 1 display, even though I have 4. And I cannot share the main one with you. But
I can survive on the stream, I guess. I will have a slightly delayed effect.
Yeah,
but,
so survive on the stream is what we'll have to do. Let's see what I've got here. I've got property does not exist on drone collection. Wait, what? Oh, okay, hold on. It's dot all sprites, I think, dot for each. And then drones dot sprites right here. Okay, all right, so Rory, where are we? I am coding sleep deprived today.
You're coding what, sorry?
Sleep deprived.
Oh, okay, sleep deprived. I thought like that we were actually going to make some sleep deprivation in code. That's quite impressive.
Yeah. Will, how's Roy's volume now? Is it any better? I'm gonna adjust some things here. Hold on a second. Go to my sound mixer. Go ahead, Roy. Tell me about how awesome you are and everything else.
That's a very short speech, that one.
Uh oh. All right. Let's see.
I'm not that awesome. However, I am here, and I am certainly
okay.
Healthy and good and so forth.
How is that, Will? I just adjusted volume a little bit on here. That volume's like the one thing I'm not able to really get a good sense of here. There he is, much better.
Much better, yeah.
So I did not get much sleep. And I thought,
No.
what a great time to do a show on coding while sleep deprived.
Yeah.
So far I've made, I've been cautious, really super cautious. And I've been taking, I haven't been writing a lot of code before I test. I'll just do a little short test. I've made a number of mistakes so far. And I've had that feeling where your brain is just like, oh, I just want to stop, right? I just like, oh, there's too much complexity. I just want to let it all go, right? By the way, they've done studies on, this is some of the research that I did with, for Science of Great UI, the course that's right up there at the top right of the screen talking about there over at sgui.com, the research on pupil dilation. And pupils will dilate in response to cognitive load. right? As your stress goes up, the pupils contract. And if you give up, like I did, your pupils go like this, like that. They just open up. And with equipment, you can look at it pretty closely. In fact, I am playing with the idea of starting a design analysis show. Like maybe on Wednesdays later in the afternoon is what I'm thinking of. I don't know, maybe we could do it with Roy too, but I kind of like the 3 coding things. I have to get permission from my family, and I hear one of my family members is like, "Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I might be live getting in trouble with Mrs. Mark Miller over there."
Oh my God! Did you just call me Mrs. Mark Miller?
I do that to protect your identity. I don't want anybody to know your real name.
God.
So that you know,
Because that's absolutely impossible to find out with a little research.
yes, this woman takes pictures. So I'm like totally protective of privacy, like crazy all the time, right? Always want to make sure, I'm not telling anybody where I'm going to be, when I'm going to be there, right? That sort of thing. And my wife is like, here I am at the bus stop with the kids. We're here every morning at 7 a.m. And the the intersection of the 2 signs is in the background, right? And I'm just like, no, don't do this. So anyway, I'm live in trouble with Mrs.
Don't even say it.
With Mrs. Karen Mangicotti. So I'm in trouble. But I'm thinking about...
Cool story, bro.
yeah, cool story, bro, says Mr. Announcer Bot. I'm thinking about doing a design show. And regardless of whether I get permission or not,
Divorce.
I'm certain... She's like, you're going to call it...
Divorce show.
You call that the divorce show, it sounds like.
We could do it like midnight your time. That wouldn't annoy anyone, right?
Yeah, do it midnight my time. Perfect. Get more people. Try to get those Australian folks over there that I love so much that are not listening because it's 3 a.m. over there in Australia. So I'm just talking about the show if it were to exist. This is a fantasy, an imaginary thing. I'm looking
Don't
at.
worry at all,
I'm
Karen.
looking at my
Just
wife.
like
She's got raised eyebrows. She's like this, like that, but way more serious looking than I just looked. All right, so let's see. The show would be like this. I think the idea is cool. We just live look at anything, any site, something maybe someone in the chat room suggests, or maybe a popular site, and we go through it, and we look for mistakes that are ideally provably wrong mistakes. In other words, there is no way that you can argue that it's right. Right?
Yeah.
Those to me are very, very interesting mistakes to
So
find.
this would be like UX decisions that have been made. So
Yes.
putting this on the left, on the right, making it big, small, bold, whatever
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of want to do this. This happens all the time for me with an audience of one, myself, and sometimes my family when I'm out interacting with the world or I'm on a site and I'm like, oh, that's totally wrong. I tweeted about something like this that happened in iOS 11, but I did the update and it kind of re-emphasized itself, and I was like, oh yeah, this is totally wrong. And you absolutely and after I posted the tweet, I was like, I had a second thought. And I was like, in my tweet I said you can put it either here or here, but then after I interacted with it more and I saw the functionality, I realized, there's one place that you can put it where it belongs, and it's in the wrong place, and it's provably wrong. It's wrong, and it's being made by a team of designers, right? And so what I want to do is I want to be able to show these things, because what's cool about it is that we see even a team of designers, right, coming from a huge giant company like Apple, can make mistakes that are provably wrong, which makes it, it underscores the importance of design. It underscores the importance of really looking at this. Because if I'm making a mistake that's when I say provably wrong, it's got consequences. It's got consequences that are huge. And
Cost of some kind.
Yes, a cost. In other words, I have to move my muscles a greater distance. I have to move more. I have to change my gaze shift more degrees. Right?
Yeah.
And when I multiply that across millions of customers, right, then we're talking about a magnitude of cost that is huge, which means you have to seriously think about it. So I think those are interesting. And we can also look at other sites designed by other teams, but it's basically like kind of a web design analysis kind of thing. So that's kind of the show I'm thinking about. And also we could do things like the chat room says, hey, here's what I'm working on, take a look at it, and it's basically just
Who's
take a
going
look
to
at it.
volunteer for that level of critique?
I don't
That's
know.
Good.
It's kind of both good. It's good and bad.
Be brave, chat room.
I tell everyone that bad news is good news. I totally want
True.
to hear the bad news on this. Now, what's going on here? Hold on. sprites with an S right there. So anyway, I'm thinking about doing that. I'm contemplating that. Any feedback on that, if that sounds interesting to you? Hold on, there's feedback in the chat room, I think. Is that the chat room?
Nobody wants to hear you, Mark Miller. No, there's no one.
No, all right, fine. My beautiful wife says, no, thank you.
It's quite a vocal chat room. I like that.
Yeah, okay, so let's, we got to typecast this. This is a drone. I think this is our missing piece right here. And now these will go away. And okay, so now my wall bounce looks like this. So now I'm going to go in and for every drone all drones that are flying, we're going to go through those, grab each drone's individual collection. And this may not be obvious, but I have two different sets of drones. I have a blue drone and a red drone. And those will maybe change. And then within those drones, I go for every one that's on screen. Every sprite that's in there is each one on screen. And I take that drone. And then I'm going to call wall bounce in all of the different walls that I have. I have 4 different kinds of walls that are out there.
Okay.
Okay. And guess what? I think I really need to do the same thing with style. Style was a string coming in here. But I really need to make it a wall style. And do I have that in here? Do I have a wall type? I have a wall type. I want to
So having
change
come
it.
in here slightly late, Mark, let me ask you a couple of questions about this. You're obviously dealing with bouncing things against a wall and whether or not they should be allowed through, whether or not they should be reverse the direction when they encounter them. I assume that the wall bounce function on each of the walls is doing a test to see whether the thing that's potentially colliding with it is in fact colliding with it before altering anything.
Yeah, we're kind of halfway through writing that code.
Okay,
We've right
fair
now,
enough.
just before you came up, we wrote code that said if we've got a horizontal a wall like this right here, this image that's in the code, but if we have a horizontal running wall and we move the drone anywhere underneath it or above it or over it, the drone's going to blow up. That's what the code we wrote. So we're about to do that test.
So very dangerous walls.
Yes, not like you'd normally expect. So let's see here.
I don't know. You see that kind of electricity running along a wall, I tend to think it's quite dangerous.
Yeah, Will Bennett had a correction in the chat room. I think I fixed that. The 656, I think I changed it to sprites. Yeah. Good job, Will.
Yeah, you did.
We found that. Let's see. I want to go to, so we're calling wall bounce, and now I kind of have to refresh my memory on this. Wall bounce is, I was just about to start something new, but I'm not going to do that yet. The wall type we're going to have to add as well. Because if it's dashed, meteors go through. They don't impact meteors. So we don't need to even do anything if we're dashed and it's a meteor. So we need to do a to-do here that says do no checks if this wall is dashed and it's a meteor, like that. Okay?
Yep.
So let's do that. So now this is our code right here. We just calculate the left and right. We check to see if we're in that range. By the way, speaking of shows, also working on it. Actually, this one looks like we're actually going to do. We are going to create a new show. For anybody who's familiar with Mondays, an old podcast that Carl Franklin, Richard Campbell, Karen Mangicotti, and myself did, we are getting the band back together, at least trying to. We are going to get at least 2 of those 4 together. I'm working on the other 2, but including Rory Blythe, who used to be on that show as well. And we are going to play Dungeons and Dragons. And Rory is going to be the dungeon master. So our intention is to create a new show. The graphics for it are going to be beautiful. At least the ones that I've envisioned so far. I think they're going to be really gorgeous. It's incredibly complex because not only are we going to be live streaming 5 different people and sending those out as players, we're also going to be bringing in 5 different cameras on the board, the dice board.
I was going to say, Mondays used to be an audio podcast, right? So,
yes.
So now you're going to do more like we have here, a stream. So, for example, you, on camera, down the middle, you're going to arrange the other people around some kind of a board and just place them on screen?
No,
or?
well, actually, the placement is going to be awesome. It's going to be, if you imagine me as like kind of a cutout kind of a thing, we'll have the others right behind me where my shoulder overlaps them, all the green screens, right? So it will be like that. And whoever's turn it is, they'll pop to the front of the stack. And so you'll see them in front. And I'm also going to write like glowing effects and things like that. So if you're on fire or you're impacted by some other kind of thing.
Nice.
That'll happen. And when it's your turn and up, your stats will appear in the upper right so people can look at those. When you're rolling the dice, your dice will appear. All of that thing. So it's like I'm looking at I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking, oh, it's beautiful. I just had to get a dungeon master, and Rory agreed to be the dungeon master. And so now I just got to get the comedy genius. Bring the comedy genius. So I'm working on that. So we're going to see if we're going to get Richard and Carl. They might say yes. They might say no. We'll see. They're both busy. We'll see what they do. Maruko Tanada, looks like that's a cheer of a bit is what I think that is right there. And I'm going to say that's useful. What? My wife is back. What?
I'm just saying, you're talking about Carl and Richard, and you're not talking about me.
Yeah, because you said yes. Karen Mangiacotti will be there. Because you are awesome, honey. You are awesome.
I'm the comic genius.
You are the comic genius, of course. That's right. She is. I don't know why it sounded like I didn't say that. But she is. She is. Maruko says we're getting a little bit of static over the line. Are you hearing static from me, Rory?
Yeah, so this is very similar to maybe a week ago when your microphone was perhaps being hit abrasively occasionally.
Okay,
It's that kind of effect.
Let me try
But
moving
it's much more intermittent than it was last time.
I'm going to try changing mics too. I have a second backup of this, and I'm going to try to change to, and we'll see. Well, I've moved it now. It's away from my face. If we still get it, then that means the mic needs to be replaced.
See, it's interesting. I didn't hear anything whilst you were adjusting it, so maybe that may not be.
It was quiet when I was adjusting, like totally.
Yeah, as you were messing with it like directly, there was no static being caused by that.
I think we've got a problem with it. This is the mic that had a problem. Uh-oh, and that just popped out. 1 second here.
Having said that, no static for me since we started the discussion on static. So
that is excellent. Uno momento. I've had a slight pop out. There we go. In general, I think these are really, really well made devices. It was my fault, not the devices that I think got it to this state. Okay, so thanks for the feedback on that. So let's try and refresh and see what happens. We're going to come over here. I feel like I've gone through the code, but again, because I'm sleep deprived, I'm not at that same level of alertness. I don't have the capacity for complexity that I had before. But I do appreciate that you're here. We're reloading. We're going to come in and type test wall. You can launch a drone if you want to in anticipation. Wait, not yet. Now you can. And I'll launch a drone out. And what I really want to see is see it. Whoops, what happened? Oh, we have a bug.
There's some walls.
What happened there? I didn't quite see it. Let's try again. Looks like
I'm going to say that we have no rocket ship or coins in the stream at the moment.
They were there. Yeah, I'm going to refresh and reload it. Let's do this, actually. Let's go over here and refresh this one. This is the one that's been running all of this time. Hold on. Let's zoom out all the way. So I'm at 90% over here on this one. I'm going to change over to, it's got a little bit of, on the stream, I'm just going to change over to here so we can see it. And let's see what happens here. So let's do a test wall like that. And they go and, okay. And then I guess it's when I launch the drone that, let's do a regular launch first just to double check this. So I do a regular launch, we're good. And then when I say drone, everything goes. Let's see if we can see what that message is, what that problem is here. Inspect, console, orientation is not defined. Nice. Okay. So that's in Sprites TS. This dot orientation is what we want in wall
Right,
balance.
being referenced by main. So is that the order of the files again?
Nope, it's not. It's just that I don't have the word this in front of it.
Okay.
It is, where did we see that? That was in sprites.ts.
That's 320 on that same.
There it is. This dot orientation. That's my problem. What's interesting is I didn't have a squiggly underline under that, did I? If I take that away.
I did not see one. Yeah.
Can I drill into that? Where's that? Whoa, okay. So that's not good.
There and then gone, and yeah.
I would call this lib.dom.d.ts. This is danger of global variables, is what I would call that. So, all right, so let's fix it to this dot orientation. And you know what would be really, really nice is if type of orientation. Wait. You set orientation. Wait.
Sprites TS.
Oh, hold on.
Does that have an I suppose.
Hold on. Why is this type of orientation?
Ah.
That's not what I wanted.
Nah, that's not good, no. That is possibly your attempt to type T and then O. Do you have orientation
no.
as a template?
My problem is here in this line of code. Holy cow, look at this. I did that instead of this.
Ah, so
Okay.
the auto declaration picked up a different
Yes,
type.
the auto declaration got a different type. Now I think we're in way better shape. Holy cow, there was a lot of problems there, and it felt like we were kind of okay. Let's do another refresh. See if we have any better luck this time. Okay, we're loaded. There's the launch. Let's do test wall. Stay, wall, stay. Let's drop the drone. This is where we had problems before. The drone is down. Let's go right. Let's actually go down so we can see it a little bit more. Let's go down 2 seconds. Ooh, I'm not able to control my drone. Yeah, I noticed when it came out, it wasn't moving. What is going on with that?
Yeah, a couple of you out there now, still no movement. So that is a little strange.
How did I destroy that functionality? Let's see if let's go look in update screen. Wait, where is it? Hold on. Okay, hold on a second. Update screen. There's where I want to be. Wall bounce is the function I added to update screen. Let me just get out of that and see if that's really where the problem is, because it doesn't seem like anything we did in there would change the way the drones are flying. But if it is, it's going to be super interesting. So now we're just going to, once we reload, I'm going to drop down a drone and see if it now flies. And now it flies. Okay. So it's in wall bounce. Somehow we disabled it in wall bounce.
Yeah.
Is it, what's going on with that? Wall bounce may have an error and then get us out. Let's go back up over here and refresh. Okay. Let's refresh here. Whoops, did I uncomment out the line of code? I did. Okay, good. So let's now try to do a launch from here and do a drone from here. And it's moving. Oh, I didn't do the walls yet. Create the walls. And now try to move. It's moving. Is it my sequencing? Let's try to create walls first. I don't quite get it.
Right, what if I add another drone and I try to move?
I'm going to switch over to here so we've only got one thing. So I created the walls right there. Let's.
So I'm good now, even though my drone got created after your walls.
I don't get
Your
this.
drones before and drones after, both of which work. But when you previously tried to create walls first without drones first, mind you, we also had the main rocket launched. I guess, is that a common issue? That shouldn't really be to do with it, surely.
I don't know. I don't think so. Let's do this. Bring the drone out. Yeah, the drone is flying. Why is it not flying in this overlay is my question. That's really weird. I've refreshed this several times. Let's go try again.
So we commented out the line of code, or sorry, we had initial code which did not work. We commented out the line we suspected of failing, and things worked again. Then we put it back, and it was still working.
I wonder if it's a file wasn't saved issue, and I saved the file knowing like if this starts to work.
Possible.
All right, so let's do the wall first. Let's drop down the drone next. It's moving now. Okay, now let's move it to the right, and if our code is working, it should blow up as it gets over the top, like now. And our code is not working. That's sad for me.
Main is not saved, says Will, and he's sorry, not yeah, Will, and indeed that is correct at the moment. So
Oh, that's what our problem is.
possibly
I'm still in the
the
uncommon
wall
state.
bounce code is
Yeah.
still gone,
Yeah,
but the
yeah,
walls
yeah.
themselves are physically present. So
Thank
yeah.
you. Yeah. All right, let's come back over here, refresh over here, and we'll do another test.
So here we will expect for us to be unable to move the drones for same reason of whatever happened before, because we've engaged the bounce code.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and do it. We're going to say
Which at least puts the fault firmly in the bounce code, which is good.
test wall. Here come the
Embarrassing.
walls. Then we're going to say drone, and now we'll be able to at least get there's the problem. Okay, didn't save it. Interesting. Okay, so now let's go into console. No! How is that possible? Now we're going to have to debug. I think we have no choice really but to debug it. Hold on. Let's get that right there. So to step through it is what I mean. So let's go ahead and close this down. I am going to terminate, hold on a second. Terminate Chrome and bring it back in. So I've killed Chrome. Here's proof of it right there. Kill Chrome right there. And then I am going to, we're going to go into wall bounce and see what's going on in wall bounce. And we're going to step through it. I'll set a breakpoint here, and we're going to say start.
Now, if we've got a breakpoint there, that's only going to be the start of the for each itself. If we want to break anything internally, we're going to need different breakpoints. Is that right?
Yeah, it is, Rory. Good job saving me on that. I always think I can F10 into a for each, but I cannot. So let's see here. I want to go to wall bounce. It's really the code we want to look at is here. I'm calling sprite.changing direction on it. I bet this is the problem, actually. Because I want to get that velocity. I want to see what that is. That's my problem. I just kind of realized it. That's my problem. I really only want to change direction when I want to find out which side it's on. So I'm going to comment this line of code out. I think we're totally good. I'm going to, are we stopped at a breakpoint? I can't tell if we are or not. Okay, let's see if, I want to clear all breakpoints. Where's my clear all breakpoints option? I thought I had that. Clear all data tips. I don't see it.
There's isn't there a view breakpoints usually that'll bring up a list of them at least?
Window, window, breakpoints. Looks like I've got none. Okay, good, fine. All right, so I've got no breakpoints. Let's go ahead and reload and come back over here, and now we'll do that test. Okay. And clear all from the breakpoints window. Yeah, I feel like I was remembering it in the debug menu, but I didn't see it there. Okay, so we're ready to go. So let's do a test wall again. Oops, got all the caps lock on. Test wall. Send out a drone. Drop it down just a bit. Just a bit more, and then let's go to the right. And now I want to see it blow up. Come on. Now I got to step through. So let's see if we can set a breakpoint here. Let's do this. I'm going to switch back to this view. Grab this so it's up here. Refresh here. Set a breakpoint in I think in here. That's what I want to do. And let's see what we got. Maybe our numbers are wrong. Maybe we've got an orientation wrong. But let's come in and we're going to say test wall. We're going to say drone. And at this point, we should get a breakpoint. Okay, so let's see. What's wall sprite X? Is 660 minus half length is 250, and that's plus. So the right and left should be good. So 410 and 910.
So what's your expectation of the actual effect that you were hoping for? Because you appear to be navigating your drone underneath a horizontal wall, and surely it's not normally until you actually intersect with some part of it that you'd expect some kind of a bounce.
Right, but I want to make sure I'm first checking to see if it's lined up with the wall, because then I won't do the second test unless the first test passes. I've got temporarily this test right here, this where I've got the breakpoint on, destroy by, I've got that.
Right.
As a
So if it
temporary
enters
test.
anywhere in the vertical space of the horizontal wall,
Yeah.
you're going to go for it for now. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
so that's kind of where I'm at. So I'm just going to like run it and see if I ever stop there. It looks like I'm never, is my logic here wrong? This looks right to me. If sprite.x, let's come back, set a breakpoint here again. Sprite.x is 124, left is, well, okay, we don't have it quite in the right lined up spot yet. So let's move it. Why is this failing? All right, so let's go move it to, I don't even see it on screen here. Let's launch another drone. Okay, let's move to the right. I want to hit that breakpoint, like about now. Oh, so I am hitting the breakpoint. What's going on? Is it not just failing, it may be failing to destroy itself? I'm going to hit run here. Oh, wait, I think I know what's happening. This is what's happening. We're continuously calling destroy by. Okay.
Oh, I see. Yes, because you continue to be in that location.
Yes, and so our test what would have happened is, had we gone out of it, it would have, in fact, if I keep flying this, we're running right now. When I fly out, this should now blow up. Right, if I move out, there. Okay, good. Good, so that part is working. We've got part one done. And I think what I'm gonna do, since I'm not feeling so well, and I'm like, oh, you know what? It is now. I've got, I'm sleep deprived. I'm, noticing sinus issues, and I'm like, you know what? I'm ready to. This is a good time to say, or rather, it's a good time to ask the question.
You know what time it is?
It's time for
Code Rush giveaway!
We're going to give away a copy of Code Rush today, and today's winner is, look for it,
Coder 1968.
Coder 1968. So I will contact
Congratulations, B-Coder.
you. Congratulations. I will contact you on Twitch DM. Yeah, so what I want to do, Rory, is I want to say, you know what? Let's end the show here. We didn't do anything apparently incredibly destructive in our sleep-deprived
That's good.
state.
Yeah.
I will refresh and come back tomorrow. And tomorrow, I anticipate that if you compare today's show with tomorrow's, you'll see tomorrow's we're going to be doing a lot more, a lot faster is what I think we're going to do.
Fair enough.
All right. So, Roy, thank you so much. Thanks, everybody in the chat room. Will Bennett, as usual, you totally rocked, and I appreciate that.
Bennett rocks.
Thanks to the other folks as well. Maruko, thank you. And I'm trying to remember some of the other folks. Dev Lead, who had some great contributions at the beginning. Real McCoy is out there. Real McCoy was a CodeRushed winner a few days ago. Sakelo is out there. Hello, Sakelo. Thank you for joining us. And we will see you next time, tomorrow.